How to answer different types of finance questions, part 1. Woo! Competency. Woo! Hello and welcome back to another video. Thank you again for joining, and if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe right now, because first of all, I want to say thanks for hitting 700 subs. Incredible for me, someone like me who's really crap at social media. Honestly, you don't understand how much this means to me, but I want to hit 1,000 so I can monetize and give you better videos. I'm going to give you a day in the life when I've monetized this crap, so go do it. So yeah, subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. So today's video, what I want to do is basically I've found a source online from mergers and inquisitions, my bad, which is a website I think is really good just to improve your base knowledge of investment banking generally. Now, a lot of these are questions that I'm going to ask can actually be applied to loads of different types of finance roles. The ones I'm going to focus on are, quite generic, to be honest with you, but I want to split this into like loads of different parts because people have been asking me about how to answer different interview questions and things like that. So I was like, you know what, let me do this video, make it into a bit of a series. And also I want to get your sort of views on this. What do you think? Did I answer it well? Did it not? Also, any questions that you need answered, pop them down in the comments below. I'll do a separate video for that as well. But yeah, anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. Right, so the first question we're going to answer is, tell me about yourself. Right, this is quite an open-ended question, and to be honest with you, it's kind of like I've never answered it when I've interviewed someone, but I have had it on the receiving end, and honestly, I just hate it. The way, for all of these questions that I'm gonna ask in this video, what I would say is a running theme between them is being able to tell a story. That is the key for competency-based questions, but specifically these ones. So tell me about yourself. You don't just want to be like, I am a boy or I am a girl and I am from this area and I have a mum and I have a dad and I have a Nah, allow that, man. They want to hear how you think. They want to hear what your interests are. They want to hear your motivations. So if you're going for spring weeks, you're probably not going to start with your A-levels because it literally just happened, right? I would probably start with maybe like your year 9 SATs or your GCSEs. Start with that. Tell them, why did you pick specific GCSEs? Why were the ones that why did you choose them? And what grades did you get in them? Did that affect what you chose at A-levels for your subjects? Why did you choose them? And why has that led you to where you are now? You can do this similar for grad jobs, but just extend it into university as well. Maybe talk about the modules you took and make them relatable to the job you're going for as well. I did maths at university, right? And in my second year, I was able to do some financial maths modules. I took them because I was like, I think that's going to help me within finance jobs. You need to think about them kind of things. Also, tell me about yourself. They also want to hear about, I don't know, any like random work experiences you've done. Have you like played for any football teams, whatever, any sports? What is it that you do? What makes you, you? What gives you that motivation? So for me, for instance, my biggest motivation, I think, I had an epiphany, I believe, at the age of 17 when I got my AS level results. I know AS level isn't a thing anymore, but when I got my AS level results, honestly, that was the biggest kick up the arse I've ever had in my life, and it changed the way I think until this day. I used to be a lazy kid. Honestly, I mean, I'm still a bit lazy now, but I used to be so lazy and just rely on natural ability to pass through exams. When I was doing my GCSEs, prior to that, my school wanted to push me towards Oxbridge because they thought I was that smart. I'll be real, I never revised for anything. I just used to turn up and do my work, and that was it. And I didn't do that well at my GCSEs. I actually put it down to not reading. I used to read massively as a kid, and when I stopped reading, when like Harry Potter stopped for me, honestly, I couldn't find another book after Harry Potter that I liked. So I just stopped reading. That's why I encourage now to this day, everyone read, man. Do not stop reading, because I think that, I'll do this in another video, but I think that the way you absorb information when you're reading is very in tune with the way you absorb information when you're learning. But yeah, anyway, I was a disappointment, basically. And I was like, it'll be fine. I'll just do all right in my AS levels, going A levels and getting to uni, it's fine. Now, I did my AS levels and I didn't do great in them. And I remember getting my results. And when I got my results, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually not going to get into the unis I want to get into. That was the day where I was like, I need to buckle up. But it was too late then, because all of my predicted grades were based on my AS levels. So I didn't get into the unis that I wanted to go to because my AS. So honestly, and that really taught me a lesson. So to that day, since that day, I've changed my mentality in the way that I think about learning and stuff. And it's things like that, and that changed my motivation into what jobs I wanted to get into, and my work ethic and the way I come across, the enthusiasm that I think I show to an extent, all comes from some of them pivotal moments. Talk about that. That's what made you. I worked for my dad's business from a young age. That's what made me into me. That's what gave me this work ethic. That's what helped me think, you know what, my parents have done so much and I've got to build on top of that. That's why I'm the way I am. They need to know about you and articulate it in a story form, and hopefully they will relate to that. Stories are relatable generally. So yeah, try and do that. Now the next question is, walk me through your resume. Now resume is another word for CV, so yeah, interchangeable. Now this kind of goes on to what I've just said. Now, but the difference is, so your resume or CV is factual. That's what CV is. And this is why I actually endorse having a short profile at the top. I know this, look, every bit of advice I'm giving you is fairly subjective, right? There's no objective, there's no this is what to do and this will definitely get you in. When I see a CV, I like to see a short profile on the top. And the reason is because that's the only part of the CV that is subjective and is from you and showcases your personality and characteristics and attributes that you can bring to a team, your intangibles. You know, like, are you a self-starter? Are you analytical? Are you driven, passionate about finance? Whatever it is. I always use loads of adjectives in that short profile, make it 2-3 sentences. If you want me to review your CV, just go onto the links. I've got a Discord server where I do it in there. Yeah, join the Discord server, and I think it's in the bio actually. Yeah, link in the bio. I'll link it in the bio. Go join it and I'll see you there, and you can book a call with me and I'll do everything for you. But yeah, essentially when you're going through your CV now, the way I like to do it is I always have education at the start. So I would always talk about my education. Talk about the subjects I studied, why I studied them, blah, 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 blah. Then go on to your work experience. Now, if you're in spring week stuff, you might not have much work experience. That's why I always encourage people to do like the forage thing. And people are like, oh, well, I'm doing this forage experience, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's doing it. Well, unfortunately, if everyone does it and you don't do it, you don't look as good as them. So you have to do it if they've done it. It's like herd mentality, unfortunately. So go do the forage stuff. If you've got any other work experience, like it doesn't need to be finance related. Say you work at a corner store, say you work at a coffee shop, whatever it is. You know what? There's transferable skills there that you can talk about. Because a lot of these roles, they are basically for like investment banking or even audit. It gives you a balance between analytical and client facing. And for instance, on the client facing side, I used to work in my dad's post office, so I can talk about that. If you worked in a coffee shop, you can talk about that. You can talk about, yeah, doing all that stuff. Say, I don't know, say you just did, I don't know, like back office work, like just counting numbers or whatever it is on a report or something. That's analytical. Talk about that. These are all things that you should be talking about on your CV. Your other bits of your CV are really important, which are your extracurriculars. So if you've done any volunteering, honestly, talk about that. If you've held any positions at football teams, or you've been a captain of a football team, a netball team, whatever it is, do you like playing chess? Talk about chess. They might just pick up on that. I have songwriting in mind because I'm a rapper. So if you want to check out my music, go check it out. But yeah, I'm a rapper. I put songwriting, I don't put rapper. Songwriting. So they always talk, they're like, oh, you do songwriting? I'm like, yeah, I go to studio every week. Honestly, things like that, you need to be able to talk about. One thing I will say is that languages are really, really impressive if you have them, but do not bullshit them. Anything on your CV, do not bullshit, please. Because when I was applying before my first job, I bullshitted the French a bit, and someone's tried to speak French to me in an interview and I got called out. So do not do it. It's bloody embarrassing. But yeah, nowadays I don't put anything that I don't know on that, because the most embarrassing thing is as well, if you put something on there and you don't know about it and then they ask you about it, that's really embarrassing. So I've been in positions where I've interviewed people and they put someone on their CV, and I'll ask them about it, and they're like, I can tell their face goes red, and like, oh shit. And yeah, it's just embarrassing for both parties, I'll be real, because now I'm just like, I really don't want to go into this because I'm embarrassing you, but you fucked up and you probably chatting shit on your CV. A lot of people chat so much shit on their CV, and it generally pisses me off, because I'll literally drill into your CV on the bits that I think are bullshitty, because I feel I'm quite a good judge of that in terms of when I can drill into it. But honestly, if you don't know your CV front to back to front, sideways, whatever it is, like, you will get smashed, especially in like IB for sure. Like, they'll have your CV in front of you, like they'll have your CV in front of them, so they'll literally just be like reading off it. So it's got to be fucking bulletproof, trust me. Now the next question is, why are you here today? Now you're not going to say, oh, I'm here for the peas, innit? No, it's not going to work like that. You've got to show motivation behind two things, really. The first one is, why this company? I really want you to dig into this company like properly, man. You need to, if they've got a careers website, go check that out. Go check out their values. Have you spoken to someone? Did you connect with someone on LinkedIn? Were you able to just chat to them, get some minutes of their time? Chat about, you spoke to them and they told you about the culture of the company, which you think you'd be a great fit for. They talked about their day-to-day, which is in line with things that you want to do and aspire to do on a day-to-day basis when you go into a full-time job, blah, blah, blah. Literally, you need to make it sound like this is the only job on the planet that you want. Now, in terms of the role, so what I do on this, why you're here today, is when I'm applying for jobs, they always usually have a job description and they have bullet points or whatever it is. Now, each of those things, I will always I'll make a version online, like a PDF, convert it to Word or whatever, and I'll just type next to it in a different color, like answers that I have for each one. So if it's like detail oriented, blah, 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 I literally have examples on each and every one that I've done so. Now, for instance, the job I've currently got, a desirable thing was like, proficient with this computer application. I didn't know what it was, but I'm not just going to sit there and just be like, I don't know. I went online, I Googled it, I went on the website, I was like, it's like an accounting software, it does back office, blah, blah, blah. In my interview, I literally talked through the bullet points in my head on the JD, job description, and then one of the things I literally said was, I know about this software that you guys use. I haven't used it before, but I'm quite a good quick learner, so hopefully I'll pick it up. But yeah, and you just chat like one line about it, because then it looks like you've actually got an interest and you're like, oh my God, like this person actually knows the job description inside and out. I've literally interviewed people where I can tell they've just applied for the job and just looked at what the job title was. That was it. They've not looked at what we're asking for, because when I start digging in, they don't have any answers, and it's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing for both parties, man. Do not be that person. So I really want people to read job descriptions and have an answer for each one of those, because that will come into this. Why are you here today? You need to make it sound, this is the only thing you want to do, and you're the perfect person for this role. Do that. Now, the last one is, tell me about your experience. Now, this can be hard because a lot of people, when they're young, won't have many experiences. I was lucky that my parents had a family business. They had a post office, and before that, they had a shop. So I could talk about that. I just feel as though you need to make the most of the experiences that you have had and put it in a way where you can tell them that you've managed to gain skills from them that can be transferred for the role that you're going to. Like I said, if you work for a coffee shop, talk about your interaction with customers, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you've done post office work like I have. That's analytical. You can talk about that. Honestly, you just need to make the most of what you've had. Maybe you worked in a bar. If you worked in a bar, that's handling under pressure. You know, a lot of these jobs, especially like high finance, like IB especially, you need to be able to work in a pressured environment. I've worked a little bit in a bar before, and that is a bloody pressure environment when it's a busy bar. Trust me, like fight or flight comes into play there. So, and they won't need someone who can fight. So yeah, you can tell them about any work experience that you've had. It doesn't need to be finance related. I think people get so caught up on this genuinely, and I'm just like, bro, they don't really care. They're not expecting you to have like 5 internships at like bulge bracket banks or something. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise you wouldn't be there. Honestly, like, you need to be able to make the most of anything that you do have. And if you haven't got any experience, maybe you've got experience. I don't know. Have you done any trading online? Have you done anything, like, have you looked upon, I don't know, have you done any like Excel course online, any modeling course? That's the experience in terms of trying to get to know things about finance or whatever it is. You need to just pivot that to something that you've done extra outside of just doing your studies. Maybe it's an experience that you've had as you've just joined a finance society at uni. Maybe you've got onto like the board of one. Maybe, I don't know, you're working as an analyst within one. Maybe you've joined the Smart Money Show, which is honestly run by 2 amazing people. And if you don't know what it is, go check them out. Big up to Smart Money Show each and every time. Smashing it. And they're so young as well. Honestly, I'm so proud of them. But yeah, like, you need to be able to articulate, again, like, your experience, and always pull it back to skills that you can transfer into the role that you're going for. Now, what I'm going to do before I go is give you an example of how I would answer one of these questions. So, if someone said to me, talk me through your resume, I've literally had that question so many times in interviews that I've done in the last few years. So I'm going to tell you how I generally answer that now. So, Harry, go on, talk me through your resume. Right, so I did my A-levels back a while ago now, and I chose to do maths, further maths, physics, and business and econ. I didn't do as well as I wanted to in them due to unforeseen circumstances. I managed to still land a role at Newcastle University, doing an undergrad master's in maths, and I thought I was good at maths until I got to university. Realised I wasn't as good as I thought it was, but I did actually really enjoy it because maths is something that, you know, really challenges me, and I thought would open a lot of doors for me, including into finance. Now, I decided I wanted to go into finance when I was 18, doing business and econ. I was like, you know what, this is really interests me. Now, how can that lead me into roles that I really want to do after university? So whilst I was at uni, I was applying for loads of jobs. I didn't get anywhere in spring weeks or internships for those. I also had a little startup that I did whilst I was in my second year, and I didn't end up having a job after graduation. So in that year, until I got my first job, I was focusing on my startup. I also worked for my dad in his post office, and in the midst of it, I was applying for loads of jobs on the fly. My first job that I managed to get was at AXA IM, working in middle office. I wanted to get to London, and I just wanted to work in finance. And although this was buy side, not sell side, it was still a global asset manager. And for me, a really good opportunity to learn more about the business, learn about different teams within the business. And if there was something that I would be good at, I quickly found myself thinking that I would be suited to a front office position. I then applied for a smaller fund of funds asset manager front office role, which it was relationship management and sales. I managed to get that, and it was honestly one of the best jobs I had in terms of the exposure I got because it was a small firm. And yeah, my progress there could have been exponential if I stayed there quite long. But unfortunately, there was a restructure that happened, and I thought, you know what, this is one of the last chances I'm going to have to try and pursue my IB passion, my IB dream. So I thought, let me do a corporate finance master's at, then it was called Cass Business School, now Bayes Business School. And I also had an offer on the table that was from a mid-tier firm in audit. And I never wanted to do audit, but I knew it was a long way around into IB. So I took that offer. Within a year, I actually got poached by a Big Four firm, and I went over to the Big Four firm to complete my ACA. And then I moved internally from BCM audit to deal advisory. Now, I was part of the UK PLC advisory team at the Big Four firm. However, after a couple of months, I was told that this team's getting bought by Teneo. So I had an option of either going across or going back to audit. And I thought this is the right time to make the leap of faith to investment banking, which I did. And I managed to land myself a mid-market UK firm. Now, like I said, storytelling is something that you just have to nail for these kind of questions. So try and practice story time. Look, I wasn't perfect then. I said a couple of times that I consciously made sure that I tried to not do, but I did. It doesn't have to be. You're never going to nail it 100%. It's fine. It just needs to come across that you're actually being genuine. Also, I made it lighthearted. I had not jokes, but I just tried to make it a bit, not too serious, a bit lighthearted. You need to be able to give that tone because they're assessing if you can be put in front of a client and talk to them. So that is really, really important for them. So yeah, that's the way I would answer a question. If you want any other answers to questions, whack them down below in the comments and I'll do a different video for those. I'll just answer loads of your questions. I might do it when I hit 1,000 subs. So make sure you subscribe. But yeah, let's call it time there for this one. Let me know if you thought I answered any in a bad way or in a good way. Let me know your views on that. And yeah, just like I said, put more questions in the comments below. Please make sure you do subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs as soon as I can. A day in the life of an investment banker is going to come when I get monetized. So yeah, make sure you hit subscribe, comment, share, like, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in part 2 next week. Peace!